Welcome back. In this week's video, I will be showing you how to do the Snoopy Charlie Brown Valentine's Day inspired press-on nails, so please keep watching if you'd like to see how I did these step by step. So before we jump into any nail art, we need to prep our press-on nails. So I will be using the full cover square tips from Nailz by Deb. They are an XXL length, as you can see here. We're gonna go ahead and take these and attach them with some sticky adhesive tabs with the magnetic press-on nail stand. All these products will be listed below and most of them are on my Amazon storefront. And then we're just gonna go ahead and take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe and just run it over the surface of the press-on nail. I also have more detailed tutorials on how I prep my press-on nails if you're looking to really make sure that the gel polish lasts as long as possible, and I have a playlist of other press-on nail art tutorials I've done as well, so you can check that out. For the base color, I'll be using Perfect Pink from Madam Glam. This is a really nice pink color, really great for Valentine's Day sets, so I'll just be applying 2 layers of this on each full cover nail. We're gonna start off with one nice even layer. I like to start from the middle and then work my way outwards to avoid too much gel polish pooling up on the sides. Once we've got our first layer down and we fully cure in our nail lamp, we will go ahead and apply a second layer just to make sure we have full coverage. This color is quite pigmented, but I like to apply 2 layers if I can, and then I'll just make sure that I take a lint-free wipe and remove any excess gel polish underneath just to keep that nice square shape before I cure. And we'll do our second layer, and then we're just gonna go ahead and repeat that for all 5 nails, and you should end up with something like this. We are really going to be putting our nail art skills to the test today, so I want to make sure I have a really nice smooth base that's really easy to draw on, so a matte top coat works really well for this. It's going to apply a layer of matte top coat on all 5 nails, cure that, and then take some alcohol and remove the layer on top, and that should reveal the matte finish. And if you want to keep the nails matte at the end, you can. You could apply another matte top coat, or you could go ahead and make them shiny. You can still do that even if you use a matte top coat, so don't worry about that. And we are going to start off with our black shading gel, and this is the reference image that we are going to try to draw. I'm just loading up my 9mm brush here on my nail art palette. And the reason we're starting off with the shading gel is because it's basically like a translucent kind of jelly type color, and you can use it to basically sketch out your character nail art before you go in and really start adding color or outlining anything. So it's almost like sketching on a piece of paper. You can treat it that way, and that's kind of why you'll see me using a little bit of a sketching method here. You know, I'm using kind of short strokes to make sure I get the proportions as correct as I can, and I might go back and add a little bit more where needed. So I would highly recommend trying out something like that. So once we get Snoopy's head sketched out, we're just drawing the heart at the center. And this does not need to be perfect because, like I said, once you go back and add color, it's gonna really all come together. So I'm just drawing the very basic outline of his paws. That was definitely the hardest part. And then the bottom half of his body, and then his 2 feet, which is just basically 2 large circles. You'll see that I'm basically trying to break down things into smaller shapes the best that I can. And then we're drawing his paws on the other side again. Again, just very basic. And then once we add color, we will refine it a bit. So we're gonna start off with filling in the heart. I'm gonna take some red gel paint. This is also from Nailz by Deb. The gel paint is a little bit of a thicker consistency, so it's gonna stay in place more. So that's why I kind of wanted to use gel paint as much as possible to add in color. And I also figured I'd fill in the heart first because he's kind of holding it with his hands, so I thought it'd be easier to fill in the heart versus trying to draw the hands first and fill that in and then go back and do the heart. So then we're gonna take some white gel polish. This is Perfect White from Madam Glam. It is a very bright white color. I use it a lot. I use it in like every video. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill in the shape of his head and his hands and then his feet and the rest of his body as well. And while I fill in the rest of that, I will just say sets like these can be really intimidating and challenging, but you just kind of have to take it step by step, you know, 1 nail set at a time, and you will improve. And even if you feel like you aren't improving, you will see it over time. Progress is obviously not always linear, but just like having an idea of, you know, recreating a nail set or even coming up with your own unique idea and executing it is like a success in itself. So don't be too hard on yourself if, like, you know, you're doing a complicated character nail art set and you feel like you're making mistakes, it's not turning out perfect. It happens to me too. Like, you'll see that, you know, things don't look perfect at all in this video, but it's really just about having the idea, you know, actually sitting down and completing it and then moving on to the next thing, and over time your skills will improve. Now we're going to take some black gel paint and add in some more details and outline. So I'm taking a very small dotting tool for the nose and then switching back to my 9mm brush and starting to outline everything. I try to keep not too much product on my brush because you really just need a little bit, and it's definitely harder to get the thinner lines if you have too much product on your brush. That being said, outlining is definitely the hardest part in my opinion, like especially when it comes to smaller details like those fingers or his eyes. But just do the best you can, take it piece by piece, cure in between if you have to. You don't have to do it all in one go. And if it doesn't look perfect, you know, it is what it is. It kind of all comes together at the end. And like I said, the goal here is just to see this all the way through. Even for myself, I'm always looking for ways to improve. Now we're gonna go ahead and draw Charlie Brown. We're taking that black shading gel and we're doing the basic outline of his head, basically a circle, and then, you know, his ears on the side. Then we're gonna go ahead and draw the neck and start outlining the body. He has a very long shirt. I'm just generally outlining where the collar would be at the top there, and then part of his sleeve. Can't see it in the video, like the frame, but I always have the reference image in front of me, like on my phone, on, you know, my phone stand or whatever, just so I always have that in front of me, and that's what I basically am always looking at the whole time when I'm sketching. And then we're gonna basically end with his legs and his shoes, his arms and his hands. Again, kind of the method we did for Snoopy. We're just doing a very basic outline and we're gonna fill it in and refine it more from there. So for the heart, I decided to use this kind of magenta color called Spice Girl from Nails by Deb. This is also a gel paint and we're just gonna fill that in. I think starting with the heart is a little bit easier in this case versus like the smaller details like the hands. Then I'm using this color called Smelly Cat from Madame Glam for his head, hands, and basically the rest of his body. This is kind of a sheer color, so if you feel like you have to do one layer and then go back and do a second layer, you definitely can. You can still kind of see a little bit of the black shading gel, but if you do 2 layers, 2 full cover layers, it should definitely not be so visible, and then obviously when you go back and outline, it'll cover it up fully. For the shirt, we're gonna use this nice yellow color called All That. This is also a gel paint. I'm just putting some on my nail art palette, and I always like to mix it up before I use it. You should always do that with your gel paints, especially give it a good mix before you use it. And then yeah, I'm just going ahead and filling in the shirt. This part is really like coloring, but of course, you know, it takes some precision. So I'm either using my 9mm brush or my micro detailer to fill in those small details. And then I do cure in between each color. We're using this color Mocha Magic for the shoes, and then we are on to outlining. So like I said, I try to keep minimal product on my brush, and I do cure in between if I need to, just so I don't potentially mess up, you know, everything that I've done, you know, just so I don't have to do it in one go. But once you start getting to the smaller parts, you might want to switch to a smaller brush. I did switch to a micro detailer once I got to the hands, especially, but otherwise I feel like the 9mm brush works pretty well. So here I am just outlining the hands. This was definitely the most difficult part. I just did the best I could, try to get the general shapes into there, and then I'm using the dotting tool again for the eyes, and then switching back to my brush to do his eyebrows and then his nose, and that was basically all we needed to do for the face. And then now just drawing these little zigzags that are on his shirt. I'm using the black gel paint and I'm just drawing them kind of piece by piece. They're basically like half triangles, more or less. And then once I drew that, I basically cured everything, and that was all we needed to do for Charlie Brown. Now I'm just top coating everything with the Koopa gel top coat. So like I had mentioned earlier, even if you have a matte base that you did for the nail art, you can definitely go back and add a glossy top coat and there will be no issue. So you're not stuck with the matte finish if you don't want to keep that. Now we're gonna do a very simple, just kind of Valentine's Day cards, heart design on the next nail using those colors that I showed in the previous frame. So I'm just taking my brush and drawing very small squares, just kind of alternating down the nail. We're gonna draw 4 of them, and then we're gonna go ahead and draw hearts on all of them and keep the design pretty basic for this nail. Drawing a heart is super easy. You're just gonna do 2 dots with the dotting tool with some space between and leave that uncured, and then take your liner brush and basically just start dragging everything and connecting it, and then basically filling out the heart shape at the top. So this makes it super easy to draw, especially like smaller hearts. I think using the dotting tool method definitely works pretty well versus kind of freehanding everything. So this is how it turns out. I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat that with the magenta color, 2 dots. Try to put more product, you know, when you're placing the dots, try to make sure there's enough product for you to kind of drag out, but you can obviously add more product to your brush, but if you make sure that those 2 dots are not too thin, it definitely helps. So then I just went ahead and repeated that, pretty simple, cured it, and then added my top coat right on top of that. For the pinky and the thumb, we're also gonna keep that pretty simple. I'm gonna use this glitter kit that I've had for a while. It came with a full cover nail tip set that I got from Amazon. So I'll try to link that if I can find that. Had it for a while, but I'm gonna use that nice pink color. It's basically just a loose glitter, and to apply it, I'm gonna take some McCart rhinestone glue and then basically spread that out evenly with the brush. This glue is thicker and it's really meant for like rhinestones and charms, so I just felt like it would hold the glitter better so that it doesn't chip off. Because basically we're gonna apply a thin layer of this, make sure every inch is covered wherever we want the glitter to stick, and then you can basically leave that uncured, and then I would pour the glitter over a piece of paper. It's easier to clean up, and then basically go ahead and pour the glitter. You kind of shake off the excess and it should stay, and you should end up with something that looks like this, and then you can go ahead and take a lint-free wipe if you feel like there's excess on the sides and just kind of, you know, run that underneath it if needed, and then you can go ahead and cure it once it's to your liking. And this is why I use the paper. It's just a little bit more sturdy and easier to pour everything back in. We're gonna go ahead and repeat that on the pinky, take the rhinestone glue, spread it out with a brush, make sure it's covering every part of the nail, and then go ahead and pour the glitter on top of the uncured gel. That part is definitely important. You do wanna leave the gel uncured, otherwise the glitter won't stick, so just go ahead and repeat the same steps that we did for the thumb, and then cure at the very end, and this is the final result. This was a fun but challenging nail set, so I hope you enjoyed. All products will be in the description. I have more polygel and press-on nail tutorial ideas on my page, and I hope you'll stay tuned for the next video. We're gonna definitely be doing more Valentine's Day sets, so I will see you then.